welcome to the very first ever Pokemon Unite Shuffle brought to you by the Wide League, sponsored by Community Gaming, Poppy Cantan, and Elite Pokebox. My name is Rustic, and today with me, casting alongside me, is Big Slim. What's up, Slim?
Hey, how you doing, Dad? It's great to be here, and I'm ready for some Unite action. It's been a while, and of course, thank you to all the sponsors, and then looking forward to a great tournament. We've got a cast of a lot of different players, all kind of, scrambled together and shuffled up to make nice teams, and we've got a pretty stacked bracket. I've seen a couple names, so I'm looking forward to some great Unite action.
Oh yeah, there are some big names here tonight. And just for everyone joining us, these are completely random teams, all right? Every match here is going to be best of 3, but this is a double elimination tournament. So if you get knocked out once, you still got a chance to come back and still earn some prizes. And the prizes are big tonight. We got $750 on the line. Oof. First place is going to take away $375. Second place is going to take away $225. And then third place is going to take away $150. A lot on the line tonight, and a lot for everybody to be stoked about.
Yeah, that's a good amount of money just to be playing some fun times of Unite this for a good Saturday. So not bad. So always you want to take it easy, but the competitive spirit comes out, especially when there's some cash prizes on the line. So
absolutely.
Yeah, we're gonna see some good stuff today. So looks like we're pretty close to having our round 1. I know some matches have already been set up and they started playing, so we should get our round 1 going soon. And we have our stream match between, I believe, Team 10 and Team 3, correct?
Yeah, it's going to be the Wigletts versus Unintentional Throw. The Wigletts, of course, coached by JB Westside, and Intentional Throw coached by Iono. This should be a really, really interesting one. I recognize already some players here. But it looks like we have some lineups coming in here. On the purple side, we're going to have Wigletts. They're coming in, locking in that Mime, Serena, and we're going to see the Cinderace as well. Mamoswine and Delphox. So pretty balanced team here. We've got two really big attackers, but you still have the support with Mime and Mamoswine. And Serena is something to always be stressed about. What do we have carrying over here on the Wiglett side?
A pretty interesting comp here, just because you do have a lot of offense. Opposing side. Here's the one thing I actually want to look at. Look at the tank play. It's pretty interesting because you have Mime on both sides, which we of course know how great Mime has been, and then you have Wiggly versus Mamo. Wiggly, of course, can be a little bit more adaptive just because you can kind of run people down a little bit more just because of how it works. Whereas in Mamo, you really want to get up close and personal. So I'm kind of interested to see how that's going to play in this, and you don't have a lot of escapability necessarily, but you do have a lot of full heal to give you some immunity from the crowd control that Wiggly does provide, and Mr. Mime.
Absolutely, and so it looks like we're going to get started off here. It's very interesting here. You're going with the double support on the orange side here. And a lot of all-rounders, a lot of bulk on that side, but still a lot of damage output to match. But again, you're equally matching that support with the Mamoswine, able to really push things off the goal. So we'll love to see how this starts and see how things shape up here as we see the first plays out here. Looks like we're going to go pretty standard for both teams, 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom. Mime and Doublade going in the bottom lane for the orange side here. And FullMetalTV carrying the Serena with him in the top lane for purple. Looks like there's not too much chaos here going on in the jungle. Pretty standard positioning for these guys as we see orange lane start to push off here early. Mime has been really just absolutely oppressive in the meta right now, and it's interesting to see him on both sides here.
Absolutely, it can do a lot for your team just because of the power swap and just a lot of consistent sustain, and we do see actually a bit of a fight actually breaking up in the top half, and we do see our early KO, maybe potentially going to see another one, but Mamo's just going to be able to get away, and Azumarill living on a slither of HP, but might not get away from this Cinderace that's coming in here, but here comes the Greninja just to help out.
Yeah, Full Metal bringing that Swine up right back to base, able to keep that goal clean. As we see now, a 3 positioning up top. The center laner has moved into the middle here. Matching on the other side, the orange team not really trying to get too far engaged as we see a battle duke out here for these Altaria Clouds. Cinderace still putting a little bit of pressure on them there, but really taking a really defensive stance up here in top lane early.
Absolutely, and basically was able to get more out of that just because, and we do another right when we think
Oh
Cinderace
yeah,
is going to go back home, we do see just able to pick up another KO just before leaving and then saying,
quick little
"I've done
cleanup.
my job. I put on a lot of pressure. Hey, I got some XP out of it, so now I will take my leave."
And right back to the central area he goes. Bottom path, looking a little more aggressive for the purple side. Mime going in for a quick score real quick. Screens going up on the orange side for the decked out Mime in the tuxedo here. As we see the Doublade go sneak into the jungle. Looks like Orange team's kind of converging in the central area. Really want to make sure they get as much XP as they can as they absolutely decimate those ulterior clouds. But both teams really trying to size each other up. Not really too much getting on the board here. You know, purple team does have a bit of a lead here, but we see a lot of these teams sizing each other up, going and getting critical KOs and getting the experience they need, but not necessarily making those pushes that are really big in this game. But we might just see one here as the orange team starts to position themselves in a little bit more aggressive stance here in the top lane, but is still not able to get anything out of it.
Absolutely, but the pressure was put on, and that's what
Yeah.
counts the most. It's just a lot of these early moments you're going to see is just trying to get positioning, see if you can get a couple picks here. As we see another fight breaking out when the Cinderace left, unfortunately came back, and your friends kind of had to go back home. So really, really bad there. They do get a lot of good XP. That
Yeah.
Greninja is right now pretty ahead just because of that skirmish that did go off, and the Cinderace was just really out of position and unfortunately just took a backseat in a fight
Yeah.
that was critically needed.
That Cinderace just put themselves out of position for just a moment, and the orange team was able to absolutely capitalize it. Full Metal TV still not able to get quite up to Mamoswine yet, but still putting on a lot of defensive pressure here. And now we see both attackers for purple coming in and going in for a critical push here. Wigglytuff trying to get in the middle of it, does not get anything, gets the KO on the Wigglytuff, and it looks like orange team is able to really corner much of the purple side's defense here as they get a critically good position here on this Rotom and could possibly take it.
Yeah, those was a key KO there, just because now you pretty much almost guarantee a free Regieleki here. You try to play for the steal, but unfortunately you do get KO'd, and now the Regieleki gets to walk in and advance towards the goal. Now, will they be able to actually drive it home? I don't know, but we'll have to wait and see. But absolutely is the question as they're able to get it in, and they are going to be able to dunk a lot of points. And I don't know if they'll be able to, but they're probably going to break this goal.
Fairly uncontested Rotom there, just a little bit of clearing out of the way, and Orange team is able to really keep up and put a lot more points on the board, keeping about a 75-point lead here. Really comfortable position, you know, being 6 minutes into the match. But we see a little bit of central area invasiveness with this Aegislash, trying to go for a cheeky play here on the Cinderace and pick it up on the central area run through here. Mime going to come in and give it a little bit of defense, but not really able to get off the damage that it needs to, as the Cinderace just picks it up and keeps on picking at it. Mime able to get out of there, and yeah, just another exchange. A lot of damage being done, but not any KOs that are critical at this time.
Yeah, we just saw a huge unite by the Wigglytuff there, trying to give shields from those buddy barriers to try to help with all the controllers trying to push on this bottom goal here.
Yeah.
And they might be able to pick up these KOs and might be able to get off some huge amount of points. And that was a Mime Unite we just saw and actually was able to get it done. So really great fight there. And it was all initiated by that Wigglytuff Unite. Great job there.
Absolutely crushing the goal in bottom path there for the orange team. Serena's able to get a little bit of a revenge score, return back to base real quick as the Cinderace does peruse through the central area, trying to pick up as many buffs as it can. But right now, orange team has got a dominant lead on the field. Scarlet skill here trying to pick up just a little bit more XP as it can. Everyone kind of trying to eye the clock, trying to see where the next play is. Rotom coming up here in 15 seconds. As we see both teams kind of align themselves in top path, both kind of looking at that Rotom like, yeah, we know what we need right now. Purple team gathering up, really in a powerful stance here. Power swap on the Mime, gonna get that to the Mamoswine over here as purple team gets a really positive positioning here for this fight. Able to really pick some stuff up, and there we see a KO from the Mamoswine on the Jigglypuff, turning this down now to a solid situation here for the purple team, as we see a good cleanup there as well. And now we're down to 2-on-2. The Aegislash really putting in the work, and it is able to get the KO on the Mamoswine, and it seems like it's going to be a clean Rotom again for orange.
Absolutely. And the one thing about that fight that really was the key difference is we saw the positioning of the Wigglytuff just like, I have to wait
Yeah.
and I have to get a sing hugely on the back line. The front line is not important. I know my teammates can handle it. If I can get to the back where the Cinderace is and cause a lot of havoc back there, that's where I'm most effective. And that's exactly what kind of swayed the fight, because the Cinderace knows, okay, I have to back off, or else I'm going to get caught in a sing and I'm going to get KO'd. And another fight is actually breaking out. A huge fight is breaking out on top once again. And once again, the orange side is prepared for it. Great positioning there, and they do get the Regieleki to advance toward the enemy goal.
Scarlet Scale putting on a lot of pressure here with this Azumarill, but the Wigglytuff really not able to get in the damage that it wants to. It's not able to disrupt what it's been trying to. So we see this Rotom push. Looks like it's just going to be a bit of a push, not a full team push, just to keep Purple Team on their toes and off of that bottom lane, so this Aegislash can get a clean pickup on possibly this Regice.
Absolutely. Right now, it's just you're kind of on the back foot if you're the purple team. You keep trying to get into these fights, but unfortunately, it hasn't gone your way. This is probably the best thing we've seen. They were able to get some points on the board, but it's not that many, and you keep having to let go of these objectives. So soon, they're going to have to like really get it together in the Legendary Pit at the 2-minute mark to really understand, like, hey, if we're going to win this fight, we have to make very synergize attacks and just find where we need to be, because Wigglytuff and Mime advancing towards them has been making them lose these fights.
And we got 15 seconds to Rayquaza. Orange team really pushing themselves in a solid position right in the Legendary Pit, while Purple team is fairly scattered across the field at this point. Power swap on Mr. Mime, try to give Serena a little bit of support. Becomes a 4v1 situation, and it does not, it is able to get out of there just by a sliver. And a pretty solid size up on both teams here, trying to see if they can get a good inch in and start engaging in some attacks. Cinderace starting to peck at that Wigglytuff just a little bit. Mamoswine throwing down some ice wherever it can. Delphox also giving it support. Both teams really just sizing each other up in the pit right now. It's got to be a big Rayquaza push for Purple in order to win this right now. So the power is on them right now to really seize this opportunity, and it doesn't look like they're going for it.
Yeah, for right now, they keep trying to just see if they can get a pick, because I've seen what they tried to do was noticing that, okay, the Wiggly is kind of a problem. If we can somehow lure it out, maybe I get the freeze for the Mamoswine. That's what they've been trying to do, but they haven't been very successful at that right now. As we do see a back cap happening, and this is actually huge, and a big fight is breaking out. We do see the Wigglytuff Unite come out, and so does the Mime. So the back cap potentially and actually does go through, so that puts even more pressure on. They need to score some points. Meanwhile, a huge fight is breaking out, and I would say it's still going in favor of Orange team, but actually everything just kind of turned, and right now they're turning on the Ray. It looks like they're going to try to go for it.
We got a 3-on-2 situation now in the Legendary Pit. Orange team getting a significant lead as they take out the Mamoswine and go straight for Rayquaza. Looks like it's going to be a clean KO on that Rayquaza as Mime tries to come back in, but they do not have enough time. Rayquaza goes down, and an easy Rayquaza pickup by the Orange team, able to spread those points out wherever they need to. But it looks like they're mostly just funneling everything towards that center lane to try to see if they can just overcap this as much as they can. Board state-wise, this is a clean victory for the Orange side here as the 14 seconds tick away on the clock.
Absolutely. And the thing I think that really put on the pressure there was that back cap by the Aegislash put in so much pressure. So it kind of gave the purple side the green light, like, hey, if we're going to do something, it has to be now. And they were winning the fight, but the thing was the orange side, they stalled long enough and were just like, okay, we'll just wait. And then you saw it turn. Greninja came back. Aegislash came back. And all of a sudden it was like, whoa. Took a lot of damage, and now they're coming, and there was no running away. They were able to clean them up, and that was more than enough time for those huge damage dealers to go ahead and take the Rayquaza and finish off the game very cleanly. So a really nice performance from beginning to end.
Yeah, absolutely. Incredible plays there by Intentional Throw. That was Scarlet skill, particularly with the Azumarill, able to put it a lot of pressure in the middle of those fights where Wigglytuff wasn't able to kind of get up there and disrupt as much as possible. That Azumarill was able to capitalize on the opportunities that Wigglytuff was opening up and made those deaths worth it. And so, honestly, just an absolutely dominant performance by Intentional Throw the entire game. There was just in the beginning, there was a little bit of struggles trying to get, some of those tit for tat, but, they really did play the waiting game in the early sides of that match, and I think they played it very well. It's going to be really hard for the Wigletts to come back from this, but in your head, what do they need to come back from it?
I think the one thing you have to address is, okay, what did we struggle with? And it was initiation.
Yeah.
Mamo's a great pick, but when you're up against a Mime and you're up against a Wiggly, it's a little hard for it to be that initiator or to even tank when Wiggly's just gonna run past me and get to my teammates. So it was kind of an issue. And then of course you have the stuns of Mimes and you have the power swapping. So that was kind of a problem we need to address. Like, how do we keep Cinderace safe? How do we make sure we rotate to these objectives faster? I think that's the number one thing you have to address as you go into this next game, or else you may have a repeat of exactly what just happened.
Right. No, there were some cheeky plays there for sure. And I mean, one of them that sticks out particular is the Aegislash sitting there in the jungle trying to pick up KOs on the Cinderace, which is usually, you know, a kind of a ballsy play, right? But when you're that high up, when you have that much of an advantage, you can do that, right? You can sit there and try to pick off the center laner and try to steal some of those buffs, or even just try to steal the center laner as it's passing by. But intentional throw, really just able to keep up that pressure the entire match. And you know, even with the Mamoswine on the Wiglett side, they weren't able to disrupt that. Like you were saying, that Mamoswine, while it was able to pick up a lot of damage where it could, there was tons of times where it ended up just getting caught. And and it was really interesting to see that, especially with a double support team and a defender on the other team, that they weren't able to actually push the way that they needed to and get those things in there. But it's going to be really interesting to see how they pivot in the next match. I wonder if Mamoswine even shows up, or if they just get some better support that can help maybe keep a bit of a distance off there so Mamoswine can charge in and do what Mamoswine does best.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is more of one of the things where you could, let's say, if these continue to be the Pokemon that you want to pick, then maybe you just make an adjustment in terms of like item wise, maybe X speed to get away from the Wigglytuff a little bit faster, just because the cooler, the less cooldown time, you can use it a lot more often. So it just kind of depends on situationally what your teammates like. Hey, what other champions or Pokemon do you like to pick? What kind of adjustments can we make strategically? Or you know, it just little things like that. I think personally for me, I think a Snorlax would be nice to see here, but we're gonna go into this next game, and we'll have on the screen what everybody's gonna pick.
Let's see what we've got here. And it looks like there's going to be quite the switch up here. Mime still taking a return back, but this time going with Blastoise instead of Mamoswine. Serena still making a return here, and Charizard is going to be played for Spodatic. Don't know what we have up here in this top card, but already a very interesting team comp. And a lot of damage dealers and an interesting pivot away from the Mamoswine. We saw that wasn't doing too much last match. Makes sense that it's not here this time. And it looks like we're going with pretty much the same on intentional throw side.
Yeah, absolutely. I see really not much change needed there, but I think the huge things, of course, we have to point out, Serena, Charizard, Blastoise play way differently. So these fights are actually going to be way more interesting, just because something like a Charizard with that seismic slam, you can pick out a target and then you go absolutely start roasting everyone. And then not just that, Blastoise being able to kind of put down water spouts, you can really dive into the back line of your opponents when you're getting ready for a fight. So it's very interesting. And Serena, we all know what Serena can do. Queenly Majesty herself, stomps, grass glides, can do a lot. So I'm kind of interested to see how these fights will go. I think maybe you have a lot more, you know, support to kind of get to the back line in these fights than you did last game.
Yeah, absolutely. And we see, again, standard positioning for both two teams, two on bottom path, two on top path for each sides. Looks like Squirtle and Serena are going to take the top path for the Wiglets, as we see Mime and looks like Mamo going to be from the bottom side for the Wiglets as well. On the orange side, we're going to see again that Mime coming back on the bottom path for them, and the Wiggly on the top path for them as well. And again, you know, we see Aegislash coming in there trying to get a couple of score stacks right off the bat and not able to do so. This time, the Wiglets are really capitalizing on the positioning of this. And yeah, again, a pretty standard start here. We see the jungler coming in from the bottom, trying to make some pushes here, but Wiggly and GetYoshi here really just holding down that top path as much as they can.
Yeah, we already have a KO that happened earlier down in the bottom path, which
Yeah,
lends itself to be a little overconfidence, got caught out of position and of
yeah.
course had to pay for it. But we do see another fight break out in the this Charizard might go down and does able to pick up a KO. The Wiggly Sing was huge there. Greninja just able to get away. Might be able to get on another Sing here, which absolutely is the case. This is the power of Wiggly. If you're able to get those Sings up and your teammates have positional awareness, it's just absolutely perfect. Get off a couple dunks and a lot of XP gain there in that top path.
Fantastic push here by Intentional Throw, as we see all three teammates able to clear that path and get some clean scores, getting that top goal to a critical position here. We see a little bit more of an aggressive stance from this Wiggly and Azumarill really just trying to scope out the field here and pick up as much XP as they possibly can. Serena still not XP wise where they'd probably like to be this far into the match. But still doing the best that they can to keep up here. And we see now the fight coming a little bit closer to the jungle here, able to pick up a clean KO on Serena there, as we see the Charizard retreating back. But Scarlet skill coming in here with more Azumarill nonsense, able to clean out those middle clouds and get some critical XP here at 7 minutes and 40 into the match.
Yeah, we definitely, of course, with the on this new map, we do know that these Swablues and Altaria spawn at 8 minutes in the legendary pit. So always normally a big confrontation that goes there just because you want as many XP levels as possible. But once again, Scarlet on the Azumarill and the Wigglytuff just doing an amazing job, stalling, getting good position, doing a lot of damage. The Greninja comes in, clean up, 1, 2, 3, easy, and they've been on a roll. And looks like even bottom path is going the same way, getting great position with the Mime and the Aegislash. And Mamo's trying its hardest, but hasn't been that great at trying to fend them off.
Yeah, the Mamo is still able to keep them off of the goal and keep the critical scores from out there. But we see Intentional Throw getting great positioning here on this Regieleki and able to get a clean pickup there, putting some strong pressure on their side and in their favor. We see the Wiglet's trying to get in a good position here to try to block that, but not really able to get it, as we see a clean pickup on the Mamoswine down in the bottom lane. Able to get some critical score stacks off here for both the Aegislash and Mr. Mime, leaving 25 points on the board.
Absolutely. And right now, you are kind of on your toes. You really need to just kind of come together and figure out, wait, we need to do something right now. What is the consensus team-wise what we need to do? Because you're playing on the back foot and both lanes aren't necessarily going to go. There's a big Unite move from the Greninja cleaning up the bottom lane, and they're going to just be able to dunk some more points here. Mamo's trying its best, which is exactly what it can do, but it's not enough.
Hey, that lasted a long time for a 3v1 situation, but even Mamo can't hold off that much pressure on the bottom lane, as Intentional Throw really able to just crush that bottom lane or bottom path goal, and bam, we see even more XP being picked up by the Azumarill and Wigglytuff here in the middle, really trying to keep as much of a lead as they can on this level cap. Not really able to keep up with that Charizard, but for the most part, still able to keep decent lead on the rest of the team, which is going to be critical here coming up in when the Rayquaza pit opens up.
Absolutely. And the one thing I think we need to worry about now is just, okay, position-wise, where do we need to be? What is the timers on the next objective? And is there any more XP on the map that we can gain? Because these fights have not gone our way, and we need to win one of them just to kind of balance out the scales a little bit. Down by 100 points, which isn't too much because there's a lot of time left, but you are getting caught in some really precarious positions here, as we do see another fight break out here. And unfortunately, we do not have Blastoise yet, so that powerful ult that we normally see is not even here yet, as we do see another KO, and it's kind of going downhill from here.
Oh yeah, just absolutely dominant performance here by Intentional Throw, as they're able to pick up another clean Lecky here. A big team fight push here, and they really just had a lot of pressure on the purple side just the entire match when they were going up there. That snaking up the side and able to really focus the most of their damage on angles where they couldn't reciprocate the damage back. Absolutely perfect plays, absolutely clean Rotom pickup, and they don't even need to push it in, right? They're just going back here and now defending their goals because right now the pressure is on for the Wiglets.
Yeah, absolutely. I really like what they did, understanding like, hey, we are putting pressure with the Regieleki. They have to do something about that. So we're not going to take a fight we can't win because our teammates aren't here. Let's back away under tower, and then we'll just kind of wait here for a little bit. And then as soon as the teammates came, look at that. They were able to get a push, They weren't able to get off that 50 that Greninja was looking for, but still, they are going to be able to get away in a pretty clean fashion. Wigglytuff, unfortunately, may not get away.
Wigglytuff paid the price for that score, but able to put 40 points on the board for intentional throw and keep the pressure on. Mr. Mime here going to see if they can pick a fight in the central area and win, and it looks like it's going to get away with just a sliver of health as it gets to a critical time for both objectives here. It looks like we have a Reggie on the bottom and fight gathering start to around there. Intentional throw having a bit of an advantage team-wise as the Charizard comes in with a big ult, able to pick up nothing with it. And we see now the Mamoswine coming in here, trying to see if it can get a little bit of pressure on there. Is able to siphon the team into one area, but they're able to focus their damage and take out that Mamoswine. And wow, absolutely incredible playing here by intentional throw.
Yeah, absolutely. And just a point of fact that it was until 3 minutes, 15 seconds or so when we finally got the full Blastoise evolution. That's painful in a lot of these fights, not having that until this point. The game is over halfway done, and you just got that evolution. It goes to show that these fights have not been going well, and of course the XP has been really leaning heavily one way, and it's just a matter of position, because you do see on the purple side they're trying to pick these fights, but orange side is like, no, we're going to rotate these objectives as a team. We're going to fight instead of just worry about the objective first. And it's been paying off just because the great positioning, and we do see finally that big Blastoise unite, but it's a little too late as we see kind of like a little bit of a reset here, even though we do see the orange side is down on HP, but they might be able to win this fight just because of the composition of their team. As we see two huge unite moves come out with the Greninja and the Charizard, and looks like this potentially is a cleanup for the orange team here.
Yeah, intentional throw really able to centralize their damage to certain areas and focus out and pick apart Mons as they can. Now ripping through the Rayquaza, it's about at half health and the entire team is on it. No one is there to stop it but the Mamoswine, and they pick it up. The Greninja going for a critical Rayquaza kill here, and now it is absolutely curtains for the Wiglets as there is a huge lead already on the board with the Rayquaza shields now able to see what they can stack on. 100 points for the Greninja and then picks up as many KOs as possible. A full team wipe except for the Mamoswine, and the other team just surrenders. It's there. Throw in the towel. That is that's game. That's game.
And the Greninja absolutely popping. And just for some little giggles, just knowing like, hey, I'm strong. Let me show
get that
you.
KO streak,
Absolutely. 5 just to make sure they put a nice stamp and seal of approval on the victory, and it really snowballed really early, and they just were trying to find ways to come back. You weren't able to Blastoise evolution until late in the game. There wasn't a lot of XP position wise in these fights. You didn't have the rotations, and just a really dominant performance this time around. Game 1 a little bit closer, but this time they kind of like, wait, we kind of have some confidence. Let's go in and show what we can really do and put on a lot of pressure.
Right. And I feel like the idea for the Wiglets was to bring more bulk. There was a lot of damage output in that first game, and there was just a lot of things that they couldn't survive. And honestly, they needed even more, right? Even with 2 defenders, they weren't able to push those people off. And I mean, great job on intentional throw. When those situations came up, able to converge on one of those players, take one of them out, then even the odds in their favor. So it becomes a 4v3 situation or a 5v3 situation, a 5v2 situation, a 4v2 situation. All of those advantages really, really playing towards intentional throws in their favor. And just absolutely outstanding playing, absolutely outstanding positioning by them.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's not over, because it is a double elimination, but you do have to make the run through losers bracket, which, not saying it can't be done, but it's just a little tougher just because, hey, you got a one chance and one chance only, but definitely can make the run, and we'll see if they're able to get it done later on, of course. And if you want to see the bracket and follow along, !bracket in the chat, and a command will show you where to go. So that was our game 1, and honestly, I'm kind of excited to see where the rest of this goes, because that was pretty great watch.
Some interesting comps. I mean, it was interesting to see 2 defenders and a support being run by the Wiglets, but intentional throw, just going with double support and then damage, damage, damage. You know, as much as they could stack on. A lot of all-rounders that have a little bit of bulk but put out a lot of damage out there. And so we're starting to see, you know, a lot of different comps that you really have to think about, or I mean, honestly, you kind of essentially could even lose turn 0 just by who you're bringing to the match is just not matched up for the kind of damage output and support that, you know, something like intentional throw is bringing to these competitions.
Absolutely, and skill goes very far away. So if you, of course, have a great Pokemon that can apply its abilities very well to what you do well, then it gives you a chance to win no matter what matchup it is. But in this one, just the odds weren't ever really, you know, stacked in good favor, just because the Mammo was a great pick in normal situations, but in this matchup, it just wasn't able to shine, and that was a huge thing. The Blastoise was something that could have shined, but unfortunately, you know, once it was, once you take all the XP from it, then it has to kind of wander around for a little bit, just trying to find that evolution, and, you know, it just took a little too long, and could have been something, but they were smart and decided, you know what, we're going to take as much XP as possible, and that's, I think, what made a lot of difference there.